this week's episode of Sailor Moon Crystal, the delightfully evil Queen Metalia spreads her darkness across the entire planet. And what almost seemed like it was going to be the finale of the first arc of Sailor Moon Crystal is merely just a setup. Yeah, I thought this one right here was going to be the final episode of the first arc of the series, and frankly, I think that's kind of a bummer. I'm ready for this one to go ahead and finish up because this episode didn't really do too much. It really amounted to two things. Queen Metalia versus the Sailor Senshi, who get their asses handed to them. What did you expect? And then we have Sailor Moon and Endymion powering up and getting ready for the final battle with Queen Metalia. That's it. There's another part of this episode that really bugs me, but I'll get to that in a minute. Really, though, I still love the design of Queen Metalia, even though it's very simple, and I love the whole effect of her taking over the entire planet. It looks really evil and ominous, and I just love the animation of, like, the evil miasma dust clouds exploding through the city, people turning into zombies. It's a really disturbing scene for the series, and they could have really made a whole episode devoted to that, just seeing what her actual evil energy does to the Earth. Instead, we just get a lot of generic action poses, and I really wish they could have done a little bit more with the action, because there's this whole big scene where the Sailor Senshi pump themselves up, they get ready to do this big planetary attack, which looks really awesome at first, especially when they show all of the planets spinning around and getting ready to turn into this massive beam of death, which is going to explode into Queen Metalia's face. And then they go to the mid-episode title card, which is basically your commercial break. They come right back, Queen Metalia is about to get hit, and then she basically sneezes, knocks that shit away, and says, "What are you guys even doing? You really think that was gonna work?" And the Sailor Senshi are effectively defeated for the rest of the episode. However, their energy, their power of friendship energy somehow evaporates up into Queen Metalia, which allows Usagi to wake up, get out of her weird funk, and I gotta admit, the world that she's trapped in is pretty freaking creepy, especially when you have old molesty Queen Metalia coming up from behind her and all the weird freaky black zombies with red eyes. It's very disturbing and almost looks like something out of Berserk and doesn't seem like it fits in the world of Sailor Moon Crystal whatsoever. But eventually, both her and Endymion, or Tuxedo Mask, or Mamoru Chiba, whatever you want to freaking call them, they're able to escape. And this is really my biggest problem with the episode. All the other stuff I thought was actually okay and just good old school anime fun, and I'm just nitpicking. But this scene bugs me, because at the end of the last episode, Usagi picked up that sword, and she clearly slashed Tuxedo Mask's chest, and you could see the shirt rip. Now, towards the end of this episode, the rip is no longer there, and apparently those weird jewels, which were supposed to, like, belong to his old guards, which are apparently now one with the Force, suddenly got in the way of the sword and blocked the attack, even though we clearly saw the cut on the shirt. Maybe that was just the animators just trying to be dicks and they were just trying to fool us and they couldn't think of a more clever way to do that. But the fact of the matter is, I guess this explains why there's no blood. But I saw a cut on that shirt, and I think that's really cheesy, and that's really my biggest complaint about the episode. However, at the end, I gotta admit, I got really excited when Usagi brought out this brand new weapon, which is basically this big, like, staff, which is basically just a bigger version of her weird crescent moon weapon, and it actually has the legendary silver crystal, which has actually blossomed into a flower, which is just sort of floating up top. It basically just looks like a big magic wand. It's pretty freaking awesome. She does a lot of cool poses and declares war on Queen Metalia as the episode ends, and I was honestly kind of shocked. I'm like, oh, we're getting ready to see the end of this arc? Nope, we're gonna have a whole episode devoted to it, and in some ways I think that's a good thing, but I feel like they could have done a lot more with this episode. They could have, you know, maybe gotten through this stuff a little quicker. It just feels like some things were just a little slow in this week's episode. Despite that, I still think it was pretty entertaining. So what's the rundown? On this week's episode of Sailor Moon Crystal, it was okay. It was an average setup to an average series' average finale. And, you know, that's pretty much all there is to it. Queen Metalia, I want to know more about Queen Metalia. I want to be able to care more about this villain. She just seems like evil for evil's sake. Just real old school 1980s, like, I'm just evil because, you know? Like, there's no real motivation for this character, and it kind of bugs me. I still love the look of her, and I did love when she was taking over the Earth, just how it looked. It looked really awesome. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Queen Metalia, that's just a cool sounding name. That's really awesome. The Sailor Senshi this week, they just disappointed me. They just did a lot of poses and put their pens into the sky, and it was just all this build-up for this big attack, which might actually do something. And then commercial break, fuck that shit, it doesn't work. I don't know, that whole scene just really kind of bugged me. But really, it's all about that scene where Tuxedo Mask survived the whole sword thing. Same thing for Usagi. The freaking, like, watch was able to save her, and that's obvious because you couldn't even see the blade going through them, and there was no blood whatsoever, and we knew they were going to be fine because they're the main characters. I just wish they could have come up with something a little better than the whole, you know, something lucky in the breast pocket kind of thing. You know, that happens so much in so many other TV shows and movies and books. It's an old trope. And then again, this is based on an old series, so maybe that's just the way it is. Otherwise, it was still a lot of fun. It was still fun to look at. It was very bright and hilarious and ridiculous and over the top, and that's what's really fun about Sailor Moon Crystal. I know this review seemed a little negative, but really, I still think the show is enjoyable. You just have to get into a certain mindset if you want to enjoy it. You know, it's really easy to want to tear this show apart and make fun of it. You know, that's the easy thing to do. But I still like to try and find some good in it, and I got a lot of laughs from this one. I still think it's actually really funny that Luna keeps getting the shit beat out of her, and she's okay. Like, Tuxedo Mask tossing her across the room, no biggie, whatever. Frickin' Queen Metalia just goes at her like a frickin' like Little Mac in Super Smash Brothers. She's okay, no big deal. It's ridiculous. They go up to the moon again. It's just crazy. This is the type of old school, hilarious comic booky anime that you need to just relax, sit back, don't question too much, and just watch it and try to enjoy it. And if something seems stupid and hilarious, laugh at it. That's what I'm really getting out of this show for me. It's not the show for me. And that's the main reason I've been trying to watch it and review it, because I'm just not used to watching these shows. But I guarantee that old school Sailor Moon fans are going to love this stuff. They're going to love all of the nostalgia, especially if they read the manga version or if they watch the original version, whether it be the Japanese version or even Toonami. This is for the old school Sailor Moon fans. For new school fans, check it out. You might see something you like. For me, it's just good old school hammy anime. There it is. This week's episode was a lot of fun. It was very slow, though. It was just sort of your average run-of-the-mill Sailor Moon episode, so I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. But you should definitely check it out if you're following the series. It might get you pumped up for the big finale of the first arc of Sailor Moon Crystal. Check it out, guys. 3 out of 5. Thank you guys for watching my review. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And before you guys leave, please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Sailor Moon Crystal. And winter is coming, my friends. The winter anime season of 2015. Are there any brand new anime shows that you guys are looking forward to seeing? Are there any that you guys want me to check out? Please tell me in the comments section below. And remember, guys, if you have not subscribed to our channel, you can do it by clicking on the channel icon right up here. It's real easy. You can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter.